Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the opportunity to speak about this important piece of legislation today and appreciate the hearing and the voting markup that we are actually undertaking, because what we see is that across our entire society, the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, is trying to exert its influence through a variety of avenues. This is glaringly obvious in social media, the acquisition of critical farmland and land near military bases, investment in businesses tied to national security and defense, funding of important and sensitive research in higher education, and finally, we know of the infiltration of our critical infrastructure by the CCP and their cyber actors. We know that the CCP's efforts to influence American classrooms are also taking place at all levels of education. It's been well documented at this point, and there shouldn't be an argument about the threat that we are facing. People across this country have been pushing back against this kind of pernicious influence when they know about it, and that is a critical piece of information, when they know about it. Because far too often, the CCP does this through various channels and under different names. So the TRACE Act, which we're looking at today, would actually bring transparency to this situation. It would shed light on this undue influence that we are seeing across our education systems. The TRACE Act requires that as a condition of receiving funds under the Elementary and Secondary Education Act, schools must provide each parent the right to review any curricular material provided or purchased with funds from a foreign government or a foreign entity of concern. The bill also guarantees that parents get to know this critical information. They have a right to know, and they should know if any personnel at the child's school is being compensated by foreign sources. Parents must know who is teaching their child and what is being taught. Every parent has that right. That's something that we've been advocating for, and unfortunately, in the hearing that we held the other day on the state of education in our country, and also here today, I was surprised to hear and disappointed to hear that people want to push back against parents' rights and transparency. They call that interference. Interference in education is having a parent involved, according to them. That is so disappointing, because we know that for children to succeed, one of the most critical things is having parental involvement. We've been advocating for that for years. We want more parents involved, not less. But at the same time, those that are opposed to this kind of legislation, just like they were last session, are going to say that they can't do it because of compliance or because of cost. Those, in my opinion, are weak arguments at best. The real threat is that we don't have parents involved in our students' education. And so what we should be doing is we should be advocating and encouraging more parental involvement in education, not less. Ultimately, transparency is one of the key components to parental involvement, because once they're involved and they want to understand what's going on in the classroom and who's teaching their children, what is being taught in the curriculum, they need that kind of insight. And they should be asking those questions, and we should be grateful that they're asking those questions. So, I would say this: when we face the threat of a rising communist China, in so many areas across all of American society today, one of those places being education, the best deterrent to our adversaries targeting American children, our most precious asset, something that we can't place a price on, is the involvement of American parents. American parents are going to be that deterrent against this kind of undue influence in our educational system, and this piece of legislation would help bring about more transparency and more parental involvement. So I want to thank, again, the chairman for bringing up this important piece of legislation. I think it is long overdue, and I would encourage all of our members to vote yes on this legislation to bring about more transparency and more parental involvement in our education system. Thank you.